Today's AskReddit post. What do people do that lets you know they grew up poor? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. My mom used to hang wet paper towels to dry so she could reuse them. I'm not that extreme, but when I use a paper towel today, I tear one sheet and maximize the heck out of it, folding it multiple times until every square inch of it is soiled. I die a little each time when I see people pull the roll like toilet paper just to dab spilled water on the table. In a similar vein, using toilet paper to blow your nose because tissues are expensive. I get uncomfortable when my husband automatically takes 2 tissues to blow his nose but one time. Like, who do you think you are? When you go out to eat, only ordering the cheapest thing on the menu and water only. I'm sure there's more, but that's the one that first came to mind. I have come full circle on this. I was pretty broke and ordered the cheapest thing on the menu with water. Later in life I became financial and could afford anything and ordered more than I could eat just in case I want to taste it. This led to me being 20 kgs overweight now, and my doctor has asked me to lose weight, so I now order the cheapest food on the menu, usually vegetarian meal, with water. Life, it's duckin' funny. Each time I had this one friend over for dinner, he always helps himself last and only grabs the smallest bit of food. I always tell him to grab more, but he always insists that he wants me to have enough, and I always make more than enough for the both of us. Interesting, there are 2 kinds of people in the answers here. Those that pile up their plate when free food is available, and those who instinctively don't want to impose their hunger on others. Hoard in case you need it again. My mom, who lives alone, has an entire bedroom with giant racks filled with food, paper towels, laundry detergent, etc. It's very clean and organized but still unnecessary. When I asked her why, she said because she can. I was like, well, yeah, but why do you want to? She said because for most of her life she couldn't afford to just purchase everything we needed, but now she can, and it feels good. I love it because she loads me up with food and essentials every time I visit. My mother does this as well, but is a product of us growing up poor. She would spend entire weekends cutting coupons and then waiting for things like paper towels, canned foods, soaps, etc. to go on sale and then stock up. Still does it to this day and gives me stuff every time I stop by. I grew up poor. It has led to a huge fear of spending money, especially on myself. I don't go to salons. I only do free activities with the kids 90% of the time. My wardrobe is basically PJs and work clothes only, and I only own 2 pairs of shoes. I will quadruple check my budget to make sure I didn't miss anything if I have an excess at the end of the month. I only got not poor about 2 years ago, so it's an adjustment still to be able to get wants instead of needs. I'm actually able to swing a budget for a house now, and hopefully will have one at the end of next week instead of having to rent. My son is disabled and needs special shoes to fit his leg braces. The puppy chewed up his shoes when he kicked them off without my realizing it. I was able to go online and order a new pair without worrying about it setting me back. But that fear of spending the money exists. Like buying the house is the most gut-wrenching thing ever because of all the initial costs, even though I know it'll be better in the long run. I tend to be really weird about food. I always need several weeks supply on hand, staple/canned, and I get really upset when my BF eats something I consider just mine. It's something I had to let him know about very early in the relationship. Me being this way is the result of childhood hunger, and I work to mitigate it, but I doubt it will ever really go away. Food anxiety never leaves you. I'm never feeling more secure than when the refrigerator is stuffed with the big shop grocery haul. Gosh, same here. It's crazy. Knowing how to sew. My ex, who also grew up poor, knew that I did too because I sewed up ripped clothes instead of replacing them. All of my favorite clothes have my own poop-tee stitching in them, because even now that I have money, if I really like an article of clothing, it'll keep that ducker alive years past its expiration date. I have a shirt from 1989. Lol. Must be a hell of shirt. My Amazon cart is empty, but I have 78 items saved for later. Gets the shopping dopamine high without actually committing. Yes, it's how I window shop. Based off of the meals they make, even in adulthood, nothing beats that cinnamon sugar buttered toast. Grew up in the projects. Cinnamon sugar buttered toast was a staple food. I grew up medium rich and TBH cinnamon sugar buttered toast was a staple in the gated community too. // Went fishing with a guy who never threw anything back, unless it was illegal. Asked him why we were going to kill ourselves cleaning these tiny bass. Apparently we don't waste free food. Apparently when they went fishing, as a child it was to survive, and not for fun. You eat bass. I had no idea. I'm not a freshwater guy, but I will slap you silly if you try to throw a triggerfish back though. Huh. Bass is delicious. Using empty sour cream containers as Tupperware. Takeout containers too. The ones that Asian places use for soup. I love those. Was poor. Now quite comfortable. Those containers are top notch, and I'll die on that hill. I still keep them, along with other used tequila containers. Reduce, reuse, recycle. In my own experience growing up poor, for example, when I need shoes, I go shopping for shoes. I try on shoes. I don't buy shoes because I don't want to spend the money. The next day at work, I remember I need new shoes. My thing is having multiple pairs of shoes. I have different shoes for different functions and multiple pairs for each. I do it because when I was a kid I got one pair at a time and I wore them until the holes in the bottom would make holes in my socks. I'm far from rich now, but one thing I make sure I don't lack in are shoes. Good shoes. 2. The absence of pain from walking is incredible. Always finish your food. Never throw it away, even when you're full. I grew up comfortably middle class, reading every item on this thread, apparently. I grew up poor. Did your parents grow up poor? Mine did. And I think that's why some of those habits carried over even though we had money. Usually buy certain comfort foods like buttered noodles over baked potatoes or chili burritos. My dad used to make what he called goulash, which was just cooked macaroni noodles and tomato sauce. I didn't realize, until I was an adult, that there's usually ground beef and cheese and other stuff in goulash. Put water in the shampoo/conditioner bottle to get the last little bit out and used, as well as save multiple lotion bottles to eventually cut them open and scrape out what hasn't been pumped out. Oh my, you just unlocked a memory. When I, 62F, was 4 or 5 years old, I was standing on a chair, which made me tall enough to reach, so my mom could make me wash the dishes at the kitchen sink. And I squirted the last of the bottle of dish detergent into the sink. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor. My mother was screaming at me that I wasted the last of the dish soap, lemon fresh joy, and had smacked me upside my head and knocked me off the chair. I'll never forget that moment. Done cooking something in the oven? Leave the door slightly open in winter and warm your hands over it for a bit. Why waste heat? This will probably get buried, but all of you commenting lol, the heat doesn't just disappear in the oven. That's not the point. The point is that the house was cold as hell, and not opening the oven to relish in the blast of warmth was a waste. It's not even just that though. For all the people who can't get their toes warm or always feel cold, you get some of that good heat before it's gone. Not go skiing or snowboarding. This is a common activity where I live. I grew up poor and this is not something you do without disposable income. I can't even count how many people have looked at me sideways when I say I've never been. Yeah, I married into a family where my Phil's guys, and it was quite normal for them to go on vacations that I could only dream of. Growing up, our vacation was camping less than an hour from our house lol. Never turning down free food, even if they don't need it. Bonus points if they pause to make sure anyone else who might want some has had a fair share. Wear clothes until they fall off. I do this. My father-in-law is Chinese and grew up in the countryside under Mao. Even though now he's made it, sent his daughter study abroad, buys luxury watches and clothes. I remember when I invited him for a barbecue at our house in France. The only time he ever left China. I grilled pork ribs. The man ate and cleaned the bones frantically, like an animal that was starving. His daughter, my wife, explained later that they would nearly never have meat when children, and that because there were 5 kids in the house, he was the youngest. He had to fight often to have enough and eat it fast to avoid the food being taken away by a brother or sister. What a brutal childhood. Carrot. Meals are not savored. They are survival. You can tell someone grew up poor when they start sharing those struggle meals recipes that actually taste surprisingly good. I still make my mother's struggle meals. Some of them are still my favorite. I scan the most important items first, even if I know I have plenty of money. I didn't even grow up poor. I've just been poor my entire adult life so far, and it really ducks W. Girlfriend, those pajama pants are all worn out and ripped up. Just get new ones. Me. Asterisk, they have all the basic components of pants. Asterisk. Exactly. Also, you're at home so no one's gonna see your pants. Plus, might I direct your attention to Exhibit A, asterisk most of a waistband asterisk. Cutting bottles of products in half to get the last little bit out of them. We ain't wasting nothing round here. Eking out every last possible bit of toothpaste, ketchup, soap, etc. from a container before discarding it. Rationing back treats to their family, even though they can easily afford to buy them every day. Having the same basic foodstuff like rice or potatoes for nearly every evening meal. Buying generic brands rather than name brands, even if the generic item kinda sucks. Keeping old clothes that fit no one back just in case. Or conversely, doing the exact opposite of all of these things, almost to the point of overreacting to past shortages. Washing Ziploc bags. Yeah, I do this now because I'm trying to reuse and waste less. Yeah. Reduce, reuse, recycle, in that order was drilled into me as a child, and I grew up poor-ish. Couple that with OCD, and I can hardly stand to use single-use items like paper towels or Ziploc. I don't wash Ziploc though. If it's getting used, it's because I'm doing something I don't want soaked into Tupperware or otherwise justifies one-time use. Hoarding. Don't use axe/heat at all. Wearing hand-me-down clothes. Use chicken skin to make cooking oil. Keeping coffee/pasta glass jars to reuse to keep deep frying oil in. Putting water in soap bottles to get all of it out. Keep takeout containers. Keeping expired food in the fridge for no reason. Using coupons. Buying discounted food or only on sale items. Live with pain and don't go to the doctor because it's costly. Always home alone growing up because parents always at work making minimum wage. Going to fast food places and taking napkins, sauces, and straws to use at home or put in glove box in the car. Pick up furniture from the dumpster. Boiling water to take a bath/shower. Have a collection of plastic bags in a cabinet. As a kid, not being to go on school field trips because parents couldn't afford it. Cut mold off cheese. DIY anything that needs to get fixed to save money. If you were gifted money, our parents would keep it safe, but you would never see that money again. Neglect going to the dentist and having crooked teeth. You had to make your own fun because you didn't have any of the latest things other people had, and basically just growing up in a broken home. Got a good chuckle out of hand-me-down. Thank you. I had no idea how to use utensils properly. I had to watch YouTube videos about it. Titanic and Kate Winslet taught half the population to start from the outside and work your way in. It was more like the way you hold them, lol. They always have a car that has hundreds of thousands of miles on it and is on its last limb. Not believing in oneself that they can make a lot more money than they currently do. Not wearing my best clothes because I don't want them to get stained. Saving them for some special occasion that never comes. As a mom, I was doing this with my daughter's best clothes and realized that she was outgrowing them and they had never really been used. Don't take up hobbies because supplies cost too much. Don't take up sports for the same reason. Heat a tortilla up on the stove and throw some peanut butter on it and roll it up. Sweeping a carpet with a broom. Glasses go upside down in the cupboard, but also said glasses are mason jars and restaurant Coca-Cola cups from restaurants. Hoarding things because it could be useful. All that being said, I'm well off now but still do most of these things to some extent. That's still my favorite snack. My dishes match, but they are still upside down and nothing makes me happier than rigging something up like MacGyver with the things I have laying around. Being poor teaches you how to be resourceful. My friends' sisters and brothers would eat at the table, hunched over their plate, with their fork in one hand, and their other arm around their plate, ready to fend off anyone who might try to steal food from their plate, and eating fast, and forcing yourself to clean your plate, even when you're full. Had a coworker once who would eat unfinished food off other people's plates at lunch, because that's good beef, and then be groaning all afternoon from stomach pain. Grab anything that's free. Ketchup from McDonald's, napkins, paper plates from Domino's Pizza, etc. My wife is from the Philippines and she always grabs whatever she can get. Asians just do that. I know an older guy, rich engineer, owns tons of property. Very kind with his money too. The other day we were eating crawfish and we use new plastic grocery bags to toss the shells in and he's like, pro tip. Go to self-checkout and you can take all the new bags you want. Bread bags in your shoes to double as snow boots. Ha. I did this when I moved to New York City from Louisiana. I was broke and only had summer clothes. My grandma bought me a nice coat, picked a classic style in black, so it would work for anything, and I bought ugly boots for $20 in Bushwick. They leaked like crazy, so I'd wear grocery bags inside of them, because that's all I had. A coworker saw the bag peeking out one day, and was like, WTF is that? Our memories. This was in 2008. Now I have 2 pairs of boots that are waterproof, and that I like moving on up. I refuse to buy trash bags. I use grocery bags for all the trash in the house. I'd do that. But no stores give out bags anymore here. Once I stayed at my ex's, and he's from a wealthy family, but we were busy, college, so we didn't go to the supermarket. One night he was saying there's nothing to eat in the fridge, so I went to Cian. For me, there was enough food for 1 week. I made dinner that night, and he was amazed that I cooked something so delicious when there was almost nothing in the fridge. Baked potato with cauliflower and chicken strips, with a bit of cheese, and I made natural Jamaica juice. I wouldn't say I grew up poor, but there were definitely some economic struggles. Though there's barely nothing to eat, was there still something to eat for me? Saving delicious parts of food for later. Even if they are on the same plate, the least delicious ingredients are eaten first, and the tastiest ones are saved to prolong the pleasure. Is that a poor thing or just an enjoying food properly thing? Wearing the same clothes/outfits regularly for years, even when they begin to get tattered. Every time this thread comes up I realize that I give off grew up poor vibes, but I in fact did not. Maybe frugality, resourcefulness, generosity, a strong work ethic, financial insecurity, minimalism, and food-related behaviors like saving leftovers or being hesitant to waste food. Oof, 5/7 at home. And although doing okay now, still trays I have. Tips and tricks for very cheap foods that can help fool your stomach into thinking you've had enough to eat, so that you can sleep at night, even with a hunger. I think the question you're asking is hard to answer without saying, what kind of poor? Like my grandpa grew up Great Depression poor, and the hallmark of that was he never let a single morsel of food go to waste. I once saw him eat fried onions out of a cantaloupe halve. Whereas modern poor isn't quite so bad. There is still hunger out there, but not nearly on the same level. I can spot kids who know tough times because they know the price of everything. and they think about tasks in terms of money. No exceptions. My grandparents' Great Depression era baggage 100% passed down. Carrying that torch. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.